Hello, everyone. Welcome to Network in Action International's webinar. My name is Jesse Wilson. I'm here from the franchise development team, and I just wanted to, introduce you guys to Network in Action. So today, what we're going to do is I'm going to get you in front of the founder, really incredible individual. He's going to share with you some amazing things today. So first of all, what is Network in Action? Why it started, the origin of it from 2014, and then we're just going to really, dig in into the future and what role it could play in your life and your family's life potentially. So without further ado, let me introduce our founder, a mentor to me, Mr. Scott Talley.
Thank you, Jesse. I never in my wildest dreams thought that I would be in the country of Turkey talking to you back in Houston, Texas, and Houston's 15 or 20 degrees warmer at this point, huh?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's real hot today.
Well, let's jump in and talk a little bit about the history first of network in action. And I hope that by doing this, you'll start to come to understand the why behind we created this. When I first came up with this idea, every single person I talked to told me I was absolutely crazy. Imagine starting a company like Uber that you were going to take on Yellow Cab or VRBO and Airbnb, and you're going to take on the likes of Hilton and Marriott. Obviously, there's one enormous player who's been around for about 35, 38 years in the networking space, and they have sort of dictated everything that's gone on. Well, in 2014, our girls were old enough to go to school, and I told my wife it's time to go to work. And so she got a real estate license. And obviously, even though I had a marketing background, I told her, you've got to go network. You can put your little white pearls on and I can take all the pictures of you that you need and I can promote you in our publications and online and all the digital marketing, and you won't get any business. There's some industries that are just well suited for networking. And so we started poking around and looking for a networking group. And in the back of my mind, I knew what my experience with networking had been. And I was teasing her about how horrible it was going to be, but she was just going to have to suck it up and do it. And at that point, she started challenging me. She said, "Well, big boy, why don't you do something about it? Why don't you create me a networking group?" And so I accepted the challenge and I built her two networking groups in Houston, Texas that were fundamentally 360 degrees different than anything anyone had done in networking. And in the back of my mind, I felt like, you know what? I think there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people who feel like I do. And if I'm right, we can offer people an alternative to what's gone on in the industry for 35, 38 years. So instead of being dictated to that this is networking, even though we know thousands of people leave networking every single month, don't make any mistake. Thousands of people leave networking groups every month. And so I came up with what I call the 10 lies about networking. And I want to review those first. And if after that section, those 10 things make sense to you, then let's take you into the second section of this webinar and we'll go a little deeper into the opportunity. The first thing is I had Googled at some point and found that 76% of the people, according to Google, hate elevator pitches. And yet, all of us who have networked before know that every single week, thousands, hundreds of thousands of people, 50,000 people in India alone, get up every single week and do an elevator pitch. Now, most of you have a life, so you probably haven't thought about why. But since this is my passion, I've thought a lot about this. Why do I need Jesse to stand up every single Wednesday at 7 o'clock in the morning and tell me that he's a insurance broker? The reason, guys, that happens is because the way that networking has been set up by one individual requires the group to build out the new members. And in order to impress the guest, we have to stand up and do an elevator pitch. So I thought that's crazy. You've got almost 80% of the people who don't want to do that. You've got literally, I think we could cure cancer with the time that's being spent on elevator pitches. If there's 70,000 people networking every week in this country, and they all take 1 minute to listen to Jesse say what he's told me 52 weeks before, it's a complete waste of time. And for those of you that have been in a networking group, you know that the majority of the people aren't listening. They're either mimicking what the person's saying because they've heard it 50 times, or they're talking to their neighbor. So at Network in Action, the very first thing we did is we said, we're going to find a digital solution. And we'll talk about that in the second chapter. But you would never see an elevator pitch in Network in Action. Never. The second thing they lied to you about is that you need to sit through leadership reports every week. So again, 72,000 people need to hear the president stand up and talk about the direction of the group. And the vice president gives a report about everything. And the membership committee tells them about how many people are about to join. Have you ever thought about this? This entire first 30 minutes of every single networking meeting is geared towards who? The guest. So I'm paying my hard-earned marketing dollars as a business person, and I'm sitting through 30 minutes every week so that the guests who come to the meeting are impressed. We don't ever do a membership report, and I'll get to how we build the groups in a little bit later. But why would we make people who are busy trying to grow their own businesses sit through these presentations to help a private equity firm grow their organization? It never made any sense to me that I was a dues paying member, and yet so much of the activity was geared around the guest. The third thing that they lied to you about is that in order for networking to work, you have to go every week. Now, I just recently saw the owner of a different organization say that you still needed to commit to 3 to 5 hours a week if you want to build a successful network. And we tell you that is totally absurd. I would like to get 3 to 5 hours a week with my wife every week alone. It just doesn't happen. Who has that kind of time? But the reason you need that kind of time is because a lot of it is spent, again, trying to help them grow their organization. And so we have a monthly meeting. And if you do the math on it, 90 minutes once a month versus 52 weeks of 90 minutes with drive time, we're going to save business owners over 80 hours a year. 80 hours we're going to put back into your business that you can focus on what? Building a bigger network, working with your employees, visiting your customers, coming up with new ideas, whatever is on your list of things that you'd like to do. But the big difference with Network in Action is this. If I speak to an individual and I let them know that they're not required to put in 3 to 5 hours a week, I'm going to build a group with more business owners and more decision makers and people who value their time. So by meeting once a month, and we'll explain in the second chapter how we make that work. And believe me, here in 2023, we've been at it 7 or 8 years. We're making it work, growing by dozens and dozens of businesses every week and franchises every month. So the fact that we've been told that we had to network every week is just a flat out lie. Now, the next thing is most meetings, someone stands up and gets to practice their 10-minute presentation. And let me ask you a question. If you're watching this as a person who's got some experience in business, do you really want to network with people that need to practice how to talk about their business? I don't know about you, but I would prefer to be able to call Jesse and say, Jesse, I need you to speak at the largest convention in the world in an hour. I've had a guy drop out, and have a person with Jesse's talent be able to get up and speak at a moment's notice about their business because they're so professional and they know it so well. So we don't set aside time for member presentations unless the member has something of value to do what? Provide the member. So no elevator pitches, no leadership talk, no focusing on the guest, no standing up and saying, what your business is about. There's another part of traditional network competing that drove me crazy. It's the ending 20 to 25 to 30 minutes, 1 minute per member, where you are told and have been told for 40 years that you will either stand up and pass a referral or you will say something about the success that the organization's brought you. I don't know about you, but that sounds like brainwashing to me. We obviously do not use that. We use technology, but it always insulted me. And I always saw the craziness of making a person stand up and pass a referral, even if they didn't have one. So if I pass Jesse a referral in the insurance business, and it's not someone I've spoken to who's really interested in insurance, what happens to Jesse's time next week? Jesse spends some of that 3 to 5 hours chasing what we call a lead. So this again is like a misnomer. It's a flat out lie. And no one should be put on the spot to stand up and impress the guest with a fake referral. So again, we don't do that. This bugs me more than anything. If you're in the organization long enough, you will be expected to take a leadership position. So it's next man or next woman up. And historically, at least your dues were paid for. However, in the most recent times, you now pay your dues and you get the opportunity to lead a group of people and do it in a way that they tell you exactly how to do it. So why in the world would I want to join an organization, be expected to sit through all of this time commitment to impress guests, and then wait a year, 2 or 3, and then it's my turn to lead the organization where I do what? I put more time in to help the private equity firm. So I found problems with all of this. There's another one. You will be expected to bring your friends. You are measured in traditional networking by how often you bring friends to join the organization. That again takes 3 to 5 hours of your time to recruit somebody once or twice a month to come to sit in, to listen to elevator pitches, to listen to member reports, leadership reports, to listen to someone practice their speaking, and to listen to a bunch of people stand up and pass leads. So as successful as networking has been, and it's mind-blowing that it's so successful, that so many thousands of people will put up with this methodology when there's a better way to do it. And the better way to do it is what? It's to focus on the paying member. Don't focus on the guest. So how about this one? We're an organization that believes in networking. We're an organization that believes that if I give to other people, then I'm going to ultimately receive and reciprocate. But I'm only allowed to do that in the group that I've joined. So I'm not really encouraged to go build a bigger network because we have to protect the brand. And again, I'm like, who's the priority here? Is the priority private equity or is the priority your company? And so we encourage members to go out and join other networking groups. We find that the bigger someone's network is, the more value they have to network in action. Couple more. Don't cross-pollinate. So you're going to focus on your group. You're going to focus on passing referrals to your group. And if there's someone in another group, then just so sad, too bad. We definitely don't agree with that. In fact, we put people in a position to network with other network and action groups. And lastly, you're going to join a local group. We've been told for 40 years, you need to join your local group. Join your local group. Well, guess what? All business is not local. So Network in Action actually started the first national and international networking groups where you can get on a Zoom call, have great success connecting with people, have great success getting to know them and how you can help them. And with that, we've created a nationwide network of people who want to do business with each other, not necessarily because they know, like, and trust, a trademark of BNI's, each other, but they know, like, and trust the leadership. So these are 10 things that you've been lied to, flat out, going to call it what it is. And now thousands of business owners and decision makers are networking once a month with great technology and superior, well-trained leaders, many of them who are certified in networking, to make for a completely different experience for members of Network in Action.